so much of what we're thinking is making us miserable, right? So much of it is unpleasant. So much of it is causing anxiety. You look at your to-do list. You got 50 things on it. You just feel like, oh my, the day's not long enough. That is a story of telling yourself a story. You're thinking, and you can either become more and more mindful of that and interrupt that more and more. You can reframe this continually and tell yourself a better story. Right? You can actually you can change the code that you're running moment to moment. You know, if you're stuck in traffic, driving to the job that you don't like, you're frustrated, you can think of all the things that could happen to you, right, that haven't. And if any one of them happened to you, you would consider your prayers answered if you could just be returned to this moment, right? Like, you haven't been diagnosed with cancer, and you could be the guy who today is going to find out you've got 2 months to live. You're not that guy, right? That hasn't happened to you yet. That's just more thinking, but it can have a profound effect. You can reframe your experience in a way that doesn't actually change anything material about your circumstance, and it can let the light in. So then, hence the virtue of mindfulness, which is just learning to pay close attention to the nature of your experience. You're not adding anything to your experience. You're just noticing what it's like to be you moment to moment, but in a way that is not reactive. You're not grasping at what's pleasant or pushing what's unpleasant away. Let's say you have a fear of public speaking, right? So you're about to go out on stage and you feel anxiety. The default state of someone who doesn't want to have that experience is to try to figure is one to in advance worry about that experience, and the anxiety is kindled just by the mere thought of what you have to do. Then once you feel the butterflies, you are at war with them, right? Your mind contracts around it. Your conversation with yourself is an unhappy one. It's like, why the fuck am I this person who just can't, like, I see people do this all the time. They're relaxed. I'm unhappy. When am I? And you're talking to yourself. You're not noticing it because the thoughts just come up from behind you as fast as they can, and they seem to be you, right? You're identified with each thought that emerges in consciousness. And most people live their lives as though there's no alternative. We're not given a rule book for how to operate a human mind, right? And there's no place in a normal education where it's even indicated that there's an alternative here. And so mindfulness is a way of kind of dropping a little bit lower and realizing, so in this case, if you're feeling anxiety, there's actually a place from which you can just feel it, right? And be actually indifferent to it or anything else you could be feeling. I mean, just notice that there's even an unpleasant sensation. I mean, first you can notice that anxiety isn't even that unpleasant. I mean, it's so close to excitement in its actual physiology that really the difference between excitement and anxiety is more or less just the framing. It's just the story you're telling yourself. If you felt these tingles and this slightly adrenalized response right before you're about to go on a roller coaster, that's part of why you're going on the roller coaster. You like that experience, right? But the fact that you feel that way when you're about to have an interview or you're about to walk out on stage, that's intolerable, right? So just dropping back and realizing the power of the framing is again, this is a skill that is a fairly esoteric one, but now many people are learning it. The secret's out. It has immense utility because then you can realize that the half-life of negative emotions is incredibly short. I mean, one, you can actually be psychologically free even in their presence, right? Your freedom and your well-being isn't even predicated on getting rid of the physiology, right? Like it can still be there, but if you're not continually thinking about all the reasons why you should be anxious, the physiology dissipates very, very quickly. And that's true for anger, it's true for anything that is classically negative. We're always at war. I mean, we're always fighting something. There's always this you're always noticing something wrong, you're feeling uncomfortable in your body, you're reacting to something that somebody did or you thought they did, you're navigating a social encounter that seems off kilter, it's awkward, and like you're trying to figure out what to say, and that sounded stupid, and you're just being blown around. And the moments where you really feel good are moments where there isn't a coming to rest, right? Where it's not about the past or future. It's not about half a second ago, and it's not about half a second from now. Wisdom would be really being able to track what is going to matter, at the end of the day or at the end of a life. For me, flourishing is a matter of spending your time happily and creatively and having fun, but in all the ways which every moment when someone asks you, well, that last hour, that last day, that last week, that last year, do you feel good about that? Was that a good use of your time?